You're watching SABC News Live from Johannesburg. Your headlines this hour.
I would like for the NEC and after the imbizo so that our schools get skill intervention programs.
Parents and members of school governing bodies in the Sedibeng region in Gauteng have spoken out about challenges facing learners in schools. They have pleaded with Gauteng Education MEC Matome Chiloane to intervene. American singer Angie Stone, who was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards, has died at the age of 63. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to rekindle hopes for peace in Ukraine. A very warm welcome to the week ahead. We are live with you from our SABC News studios here in Johannesburg for the next 2 hours. Good afternoon. If you'd like to participate, please give us a call to share your thoughts or pose questions. The number is 011-714-0680 or 81 or 82. As always, it's wonderful to have you with us. And we start with headlines in the Sunday newspapers, shall we? And let's go straight to it. We start with Sunday Times this afternoon, headlined ANC's EFF budget ace. Spectre of Red Berets joining GNU used to compel DA to support smaller VAT hike. Sunday Times reporting there that ANC has thrown down the gauntlet to its GNU partner, the DA, over the finance minister's stalled budget, warning that it will approach the EFF for the required votes if the DA refuses to accept a smaller VAT increase. The warning follows a series of meetings between the ANC and the DA at which the Blue Party restated its position to the 2 percentage point VAT increase sought by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana. That's a leading story in the Sunday Times. Now let's have a look at the next headline by Sunday Tribune. They are headlining that story there, calls to arrest Afrikaner leaders, case of treason against AfriForum solidarity amid trip to US. That's the story that you've seen there. Sunday Tribune reporting that fresh calls have been made for the immediate arrest and prosecution of right-wing Afrikaner groups AfriForum and Solidarity following their trip to the US this week. The Umkhonto weSizwe Party has already opened a case of treason against AfriForum and are demanding that action be taken against the civic organization. AfriForum and Solidarity sent a delegation, as you might be aware, to the White House in Washington to hand a memorandum to US government representatives where they highlighted their grievances. Trump signed an executive order last month which stated that the US would promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees, escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory property confiscation. You'll find that story and all full details in the Sunday Tribune. Now we move to the next newspaper headlines that is found in the Sunday World. Depressed Saleng wants to leave box. Parents say their son feels he's been badly treated. Orlando Pirates star Monabule Saleng has plunged into a state of depression and wants to leave the Soweto outfit because he believes the club is short paying him. Saleng's worried parents revealed these intimate details of his troubles with the club during an exclusive interview with Sunday World. On Friday, Saleng last played in an official match for Pirates in December when he made a rare appearance in the Champions League against Al Ahly in the CAF Champions League. While there has been much speculation around the player's future, Saleng has kept mum. That story found in the Sunday World. And those are the stories making headlines in the newspapers. Now, bullying, armed gangs, substance abuse and theft are some of the challenges highlighted at the Gauteng Education Department's school safety imbizo held in Sedibeng, south of Gauteng. The imbizo is a platform where parents, learners, education activists and law enforcement agencies share ideas on how best to improve safety in schools.
This is the last school safety imbizo to be held after similar meetings were convened in Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg and the West Rand. In almost all these meetings, stakeholders have raised concerns about safety challenges in schools which threatens the safety and learners' well-being. Learners have spoken out about the problem of bullying in schools and the psychological impact it has on them.
The challenges that we're facing in schools is that boys from initiation schools come to schools and claim that they are men and bully us. And we also have this thing of learners who are not academically smart and who need to learn skills in order for them to succeed in life. So I would like for the NEC and after the imbizo so that our schools get skill intervention programs so that our learners can actually learn hand-on skills.
I think the social protection is a key in this situation, but I think the government is also failing us, and we as presidents of some certain schools, we absolutely experience some certain challenges, some difficult challenges like bullying, like rape, for instance, in our school yards, everywhere. So maybe the government should intervene by providing some social protection, security guards, patrollers more and often. So yeah, I think that will be the best solution to resolve this issue.
I would like the government to stop the bullying in schools because we're dealing with many problems, psychological problems, physical problems, mental problems, because each and every child in school comes from a different background mostly. So we need the government to maybe give us support to the schools and contribute something that will benefit all of us.
Parents and members of the school governing bodies in the Sedibeng region also voiced their concerns about the many challenges facing learners in schools.
The challenges that we are facing right now in our school is we have a lot of kids who stay from a long distance, and then the MEC of Education came by the school on the 26th of January. She gave us Shovagalula bicycles, which were 26 in number. So still, even though we gave the learners those 26 bicycles, they are still short. So we wanted to at least get a mini bus for the learners so that it can be a scholar transport.
A lot of children are in drugs, especially Nyaupe is killing our community. They don't have future at all. Meaning, we need government to stand up and help us to fight this kind of drugs. More especially, it's killing our nation, the future of our children. So we don't have any more children who can say if the war is coming to our community or in our country, they will stand up and fight for us.
Another major concern is electricity cuts in schools due to the non-payment by the department to municipalities.
It's simple. The mayors must, or the leadership, or the councils, or the municipality must stop cutting our electricity. We'll pay them. We've made an arrangement, like here we made an arrangement. We've made an arrangement with all mayors, and the councils and the city municipal managers. We've had that engagement. In fact, yesterday there was a meeting that was coordinated by the Premier as well. Amongst the issues that was discussed is this electricity matter that municipalities are cutting our schools off. And I have to say, some of them is not even fair. I mean, you cut a school off the electricity because they owe 3,000. You know, while they're on their way to the council to pay it, you've cut them off.
Despite the multiple challenges, the department says the imbizos have yielded positive results and possible solutions.
Everywhere we've gone, parents have given solutions that define their challenges. Some areas they say they want, for instance, they want metal detectors at schools to search these children every day because they carry, you know, these weapons. Some they want random search and seizures. So it depends on where we are, the challenges that are there. So we are quite happy. Myself as the MEC, I'm quite happy with these imbizos. I think it was the right step that we did to ensure that we resolve. Now it's implementation and results.
Monique Lewis, SABC News, Sedibeng.
Now, Small Business Development Minister Stella Ndabeni will today give an update on the Spaza shop registration process. She'll be joined at the media briefing in Pretoria by economic cluster MECs across various provinces. Now, the briefing will focus on the registration process, findings, lessons learned, and the next steps, including details on the 500 million intervention fund aimed at supporting small businesses. Meanwhile, the South African Spaza Shops Association has called on government to convene a national imbizo on Spaza shops. Now, South African National Parks has raised concern over the growing number of rhino poached in its parks. A total of 35 rhino have been killed in the Kruger National Park in Mpumalanga this year. Despite multiple interventions, SANParks says the spike is a cause for concern.
The carcass of a rhino killed by poachers in one of the world's largest wildlife sanctuaries, the Kruger National Park. 35 rhino have already been killed in the park this year, despite anti-poaching interventions like dehorning and the installation of high-tech surveillance. Poachers still manage to find a way, like snaring.
They would put it there and they never come to check. Often you would find some areas there's dead carcasses there that are never retrieved by the poachers, or some animals like your buffalo, they happen to come across this one and they don't walk into this one, and then they get caught. You find a snare on their necks.
These rangers are risking their lives to protect the vulnerable animals from those who only see them as a fat check. Efforts are ongoing to curb poaching, and many resources are being applied to fight the scourge. The fight becomes even harder when some of those who are tasked with protecting these animals are themselves accused of the crime. Former ranger Rodney Landela was once dubbed the Crown Prince of the Kruger National Park, and his co-accused, Kenneth Mutoto, have been on trial in connection with rhino poaching for 9 years. The high demand for rhino horns in Asian countries has seen poaching surge in southern African countries. The horns are reportedly used in traditional medicine and are often symbols of status and wealth. This has seen the rhino population in the park decline by almost 80% in the last 10 years. Around 2,000 rhino remain in the 2 million in hectare sanctuary, a stark reminder of the threat facing the rhino population. Known for its abundance in wildlife, flora and fauna, and attracting almost 2 million visitors each year, the question is, will the Kruger National Park still have all the big five in the next 10 years? Lopang Alamu, SABC News, Mpumalanga.
Now, reigning Amandebele King Makhosoke Mabena II has called on government to support Komjegajege events, saying they promote cultural tourism and contribute to the local economy. King Mabena was speaking at the 45th annual commemoration of revered Amandebele King Silamba in Komjegajege Heritage Site in Wolmansthal outside Pretoria. King Silamba is held in high esteem for his role in preserving the Ndebele culture during colonial times.
Hundreds of people dressed in their traditional Ndebele regalia came together at the Komjegajege Heritage Site, not only to honor and commemorate the late King Silamba, but also to celebrate and embrace their culture. King Makhosoke Mabena II called for unity and also encouraged the youth to study isiNdebele at tertiary institutions to preserve the language.
We want students of the Ndebele nation to promote the language, so if young people can learn the language at higher institutions, this might help, because one day we want to have experts and professors who can speak isiNdebele, and parents should encourage their children to study the language.
Some people use the occasion to celebrate Ubundebele.
It's important for the youth to know their roots, and this can help them to learn about how things are done.
Especially speech in Ndebele.
We should learn to be proud of our languages. If you are Ndebele, be proud of that and help leaders to preserve the language.
The Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister has encouraged traditional leaders to work together to promote languages, particularly in Mpumalanga province. and also commended traditional leaders for protecting and preserving cultural practices.
The traditional leadership has played a crucial role in our societies for many years. Above all, as we meet here today, this event indeed deserves support as an annual calendar event, and this support must come from all three spheres of government. I want to commend our local sphere of government and the provincial spheres of government for every support they had given in the past years and even today to make this event a great success. Above all, this event must play a crucial role in rebuilding our communities and address key challenges of poverty.
The public has been encouraged to visit Komjekejeke Heritage Site to learn more about the Ndebele culture and help promote tourism and grow the local economy. Lerato Makula, SABC News in Johannesburg.
Now in news further afield, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer will try to revive hope for peace in Ukraine at a meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky and other Western leaders. It comes 2 days after the Ukrainian leader and US President Donald Trump clashed verbally in Washington.
Some European leaders offered support to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and some urged diplomatic repair after an extraordinary clash at the White House with U.S. President Donald Trump.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
Trump threatened to withdraw support for Ukraine 3 years after Russia's invasion.
We gave you military equipment.
A new era of wickedness has begun, said German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock, who urged Germany to release an additional $3.1 billion in aid for Ukraine. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Saturday greeted Zelensky with a warm embrace in front of a London crowd.
Well, let me just say that you're very, very welcome here in Downing Street.
The pair sat down for talks ahead of a summit of European leaders that Zelensky will attend on Sunday to discuss a peace plan for Ukraine. French President Emmanuel Macron spoke to both Zelensky and Trump on Saturday and in an interview called for calm. Macron said Zelensky had told him he was willing to restore dialogue with the United States, including on a deal giving U.S. access to revenues from Ukraine's natural resources. But Macron did not say what Trump told him. NATO chief Mark Rutte said Zelensky needs to find a way to restore his relationship with Trump after the, quote, unfortunate spat.
And I gave you javelins.
Rutte said he told Zelensky, quote, we really have to respect what President Trump has done so far for Ukraine, reminding Zelensky that Trump was the one who provided Javelin anti-tank weapons to Ukraine in 2019 that had enabled the country's forces to fight back after Russia's invasion.
To this story now, American singer Angie Stone, who was nominated for 3 Grammy Awards, has died at the age of 63. Deborah R. Champagne, who is Stone's representative, said she died in a car accident in Montgomery, Alabama, following a performance. 9 other passengers were in the van with Stone during the accident. Now, Stone released her debut solo album, Black Diamond, in 1999. It was certified gold by the Recording Industry Association of America the following year. Her highest charting album, The Art of Love and War, released in 2007, peaked at 11 on the US Billboard 200 and number 1 on Billboard's top R&B hip-hop albums. Outside of music, she acted in several films, The Hot Chick, and also starred in The Fighting Temptations. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, the Western Cape Bee Industry Association says it's concerned about reports of mass honeybee poisonings across the province. Large and small-scale beekeepers have reported entire hives and colonies being wiped out. The association says some farmers are recklessly using harmful pesticides which are killing the bees. This, as a result, is putting food security at risk.
Honeybees are apex pollinators. Around 50 food crops in the country are dependent on them for pollination. The association says their members are reporting more frequently the loss of their bees. Certain chemicals in the pesticides are causing mass deaths. Bees are flying back to their hives and infecting millions, resulting in death.
The amount of hives that's been affected is about 242 at this stage. It does not even include all the wild swarms that's naturally occurring in the region, which has also died. So the main problem is in that 240 hives plus, is there between 20 and 50,000 bees in the hive. So you can see how many millions of bees have been killed just in this short term from October, November up till now.
The farmers are paying us to bring in bees to pollinate their flowers so that they can make produce from this. But they're killing us, the bee farmers. So therefore we can't actually make an income or take anything away from it because our bees are dead. Without bees we have nothing. The farmers need us, and we actually need the farmers because they're bringing an income to beekeepers. A lot of beekeepers, that's their income, is either pollination, byproducts or honey.
Lab results have shown which chemicals are causing the mass deaths. Experts say these poisonings have reached an unprecedented level, especially in this province.
What we're very concerned about is that some farmers are using pesticides and fungicides recklessly. They're not following the guidelines on the labels. We term this going off-label. For instance, certain farmers are spraying when their crops are in full bloom and the honeybees are foraging and doing pollination on these crops. It's completely irresponsible to spray chemicals on the crops when the bees are doing the job of pollination.
The association has appealed to farmers to be more aware of the chemicals in their pesticides and to use products that are more bee-friendly. Segui Chetty, SABC News, Riversdale in the Western Cape.
Now, there were kaleidoscopic scenes on the streets of Greenpoint in Cape Town as the annual Pride Parade and Mardi Gras took place to mark the end of the Cape Town Festival. The Pride Parade is an event for friends and families to come together as a community to celebrate LGBTQI+ awareness, diversity and inclusivity.
The Mardi Gras is the final event of the 2025 Pride Month calendar. The event has been considered the biggest ever Pride event the city has ever seen, with visitors from the LGBTIQ+ communities from far and wide.
This is my first time at Pride. What brings me down is to express myself and to stand up for our rights. Because some people, they make a mockery of us, but we are born this way and nothing can change it.
I'm here to represent myself and to show people I'm not scared of who I am, and it's for the future me and for the future people who will become me and who will look up to me.
The event is all about flair, pomp and ceremony, and this year did not disappoint.
I'm happy. I've got my tribe. Everybody's here. Everybody's beautiful. One love, spirit. We all are one people. I wish I could even have a house here and stay here forever with my people. I'm very happy.
LGBTIQ+ people are not always welcomed in all the communities all the time, but this is considered a safe space by all accounts.
Today is a very, very special and important day. It's a day of celebration of all the gains we've made against discrimination, against homophobia, and to be inclusive. So today for me is that day of celebration. I remember many, many years ago, more than 40 years ago, or almost 40 years ago, we started the first march with Abigail and some other black gays and lesbians. We started the first marches down Adley Street. So and today I'm here basically to also celebrate and be here with all my queer brothers and sisters, but also to bring attention to some of the atrocities that's happening against our children.
Cape Town Pride brings together a fellowship of what many consider as the rainbow community of Africa, celebrating diversity and inclusivity. I'm Lamli Maneli for SABC News in Cape Town.
Education activists have called on Basic Education Minister Sedibeng to intervene in the protracted impasse between the principal of Sedibeng Primary School in Hammanskraal, Pretoria, and parents. Parents want the principal to be removed, alleging that she duped them into paying school fees, registration fees, and to buy stationery, despite the school being a no-fee paying school. Parents also want the issue of unhygienic lavatories at the school to be resolved after 20 learners contracted an infection. The parents staged a sit-in at a recently held educational hotel in an attempt to attract attention to their grievances.
Section 29(1)(a) of the Constitution enshrines the right to education, including adult education. Despite this, parents at Sedibeng Primary School in Hammanskraal have resorted to keeping their children at home in protest. They want the principal gone after she made them pay for school fees, stationery and registration fees when she convinced them that this no-fee paying school was a private institution. Parents expressed concerns about unhygienic toilets at the school.
In that school, we have about 1,229 kids, which should use about 16 toilets, which is 8 girls, 8 boys. Those toilets don't have doors. If a child is living him or herself, there's no privacy there. And also the toilets are hygienic because when we entered last time, we found worms in the toilets because they can flush.
The parents recently staged a sit-in at the Basic Education Lekotla held in Ekurhuleni and gained the attention of the National Education Department DDG. They now want concessions made to be implemented before they can allow learners to return to school.
Pertinent issue, priority issue, it becomes the issue of hygiene. It cannot be that learners are coming here, they can't go to the toilet, males and females are sharing toilets, they can't wash their hands. Remember, people died of cholera here. We can't be irresponsible parents wherein we allow learners to come here and while we have 20 learners who are infected in this school. Those are the things that lead to cholera, death in our families. We can't go to death while we are watching it with our eyes.
Education activists lambasted the Provincial Education Department, saying the sanction of 2 months without pay leveled against the principal was tantamount to a slap in the wrist.
I think that the principal has just been given a slap, on the wrist by the manner in which they've handled to say she must be there suspended for 2 months without a salary. And of course, that cannot be correct. That is why we've called on the Basic Education Minister, Sedibeng, to step in.
Makaneta says while there are parents that want their children to go to school, a majority of parents are against it. The Gauteng Education Department refused to comment, saying the matter is now with the National Basic Education Department. Offenses Timo, SABC News, Hammanskraal.
Now to this, South Africa's taxi industry is on the cusp of a revolution as Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi calls for a transition to cashless payments by 2026 in a bid to reduce crime and increase efficiency. But what does this mean for commuters, drivers and the economy as a whole? To explore the implications of this move, we are joined by Anthony Stewart from Waxed Solution, a pioneering company that's already making waves in the industry with their automatic fare collection system, which has been launched in partnership with Botranza in Soutregens near Rustenburg, aimed at helping minibus taxis go cashless. Welcome to the show, Anthony. Thanks so much for coming through. Let's start here. Just talk to us more about Waxed Solution and your work in the taxi industry.
So Wax started off about 4 or 5 years ago. We try to go into the informal sector and say, how can we help with financial inclusion? And the closer we got, we first started looking at Spaza shops. and realized that actually you need to start off with taxis. Taxis are the hub of our economy, and if you get the taxis involved, you then get the Spaza shops involved and the commuters in it, and it goes out in that kind of circle. So we then changed our focus and worked with the taxi industry to build our system. And just as we got it built and wanted to do our first launch, then COVID came along and the taxi industry and everyone took a very big knock. And so we then pivoted a bit and we started doing buses in Rustenburg. And we started adopting the One card, the Sandrail's ABT account-based ticketing card. And we've used the learnings and the technology that we got from that and the development that we've done for the taxis to now start in Swartrugens in November, basically last year.
And how effective is it?
It's very effective. I think the biggest thing is to ask the commuters, ask the drivers, ask the owners. We've got one of our owners, Tseho, made a great comment. He says he gets to sleep at night because he doesn't have to run around collecting his money. Okay, his money now comes to him. And then we've had commuters where commuters stand on the side and they cross their arms. They're not going to get onto the standard taxis. They're waiting for the cashless taxi, right? Because it's safer for them, type of thing. So.
And how did you get involved in the project to implement a cashless system in the taxi industry, and what sparked your interest in this area?
So I think it's been because of a lot of the financial challenges. It's expensive to be poor, right? So and everybody charges the most amount of money when you highest interest rates. Your bank charges are high, all kinds of things like that. And so with this, what we're looking at doing is saying helping people get financially included. If you are now financially included, which means you have now a bank account, you're receiving money into that bank account, you can be recognized by the financial system and you can get better interest rates on personal loans and things like that.
Let's talk more about that, Anthony. I mean, just to walk us through how the automatic fare collection system works and how it benefits both commuters and taxi owners.
Okay, so practically how it works is you can take your bank card, your debit card or your credit card, and you can go and tap on a device. You can also take one of the NDOT little cards that I've got, and you can get it at a ShopRite Checkers or kiosks, for instance, in Rustenburg, and you can load money onto that, and then you can tap. Now, the brilliance of when you tap, there's many financial transactions that are happening in the background. The association is collecting their funds, the owner's collecting their funds, the drivers can get paid. We can start looking at paying UIF, workman's compensation, finance charges, all kinds of things like that.
That's quite interesting. What kind of technology? Let's talk about technology here. I mean, what kind of technology is behind the system and how does it ensure secure and efficient transaction?
Okay, so the nice thing about our tech is it's homegrown, it's built in South Africa, but the technology that we're using is backed by the banks and by a company we're using with Wizard, so it's got the most stringent security measures on it, so your money is safe. Okay, just as you tap a credit card at a petrol station or at a restaurant or at a shop, it's the same technology that's been used to process those transactions, so it is very safe.
Let's talk about some of the key benefits of implementing, cashless system in the taxi industry, and how do you think it will impact the sector as a whole?
I think, so the key benefits for me is the financial inclusion. Okay, for instance, if you're a taxi owner, and you are paying vehicle repayments, you're paying up to 26% interest in some cases on your taxi. Now, you and I would not go and buy a car and pay 26% interest, but because you can't see into the financials or that business of what the taxi is doing, the financial institutions have to hedge their risks effectively. Now, if you have a cashless system, you can actually see, or for instance, every time somebody taps for 10 Rand, you can take 2.50 Rand and put it into a finance wallet. And so you can save like that, and the finance house can now see that you're collecting your money, and you can start bringing down your finance payments by 2,000-3,000 Rand a month. Now that is a massive impact just on the taxi owners as an example. But in the same way, only 4% of taxi drivers are actually own a home. It's because they're financially included. They live in a world where they only have cash. So it's expensive to deposit your money. It's expensive to draw your money out. So if you're earning a little bit of money, you're just going to hold on to that money, okay? And you're going to use everything in cash. So if you're a driver now and you're getting paid through this mechanism, you can also now qualify for vehicle finance or buy a home or something like that.
Talk to us about some of the challenges that you have experienced implementing the system and how you've overcome them.
Okay, so I think our challenges have when we started was to get the trust of the associations. So from the association perspective, we worked with the association executive and the chairman, actually, of Butronsa, Africa Bennett, who's been fantastic and visionary in supporting in where we've been going. And the next level then after getting the association is the members of the association. And what we found is that our greatest resistance actually came from the members. I thought it was going to come from the drivers, okay? And but when we got to the members, we suddenly realized that it was about education. It was understanding what the benefits would be, knowing that the money was safe and trusting us. So when we started, it was only a handful of taxis. But as the payments became more regular and people were getting their money on time and everything like that, it got there as well. And then from a driver's perspective, they can start selling airtime, lotto, electricity, all kinds of stuff like that on the taxi, and turning the taxi into more of a business hub and start making more money than just transporting people. And are there plans for expanding the system to other areas? And how do you see it evolving in the future? So I'm a big believer in the country's vision for an IPTN. It's an integrated public transport network where you can take one card and you can jump on a taxi, you can jump on a bus, you can jump on a train, and you pay with the same card across all of that. So as Waxed, what we've done, we're working with the buses in Rustenburg with Yarona with that card, and we're looking to integrate that with the taxis as well, so the commuters can jump on and pay in one integrated form. So all forms of transport are actually going to be gazetted to accept the single card, basically. Let's talk about the taxi industry, and I'm glad you work with them. I mean, how do you think this industry will change in the next few years? And what role do you see cashless system play in the evolution? I think one of the experts in the taxi industry is a gentleman by the name of James Chapman, made a good comment at a launch that we had. And he said in the last 40 years, he can't think of something bigger that's happened in the taxi industry than a successful cash implementation. Because this now starts structuring 250,000 taxis across the country. Finance, as I've mentioned, will be improved, but for commuters, you can start seeing where your taxis are. You can book a taxi to go places. So this is the start of a massive change, okay? And starting including, I think the taxi industry has also realized that, you're getting your Ubers, your InDrives, your Bolts are all starting to encroach on their normal income. And so they have to look at now also accepting cashless payments. Anthony, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it indeed, and I'm sure that's one system a lot of commuters as well as taxi owners will be looking forward to. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Yeah, thank you very much. That was Anthony Stewart from Waxed Solution, a pioneering company that's already making waves in the industry with their automatic fare collection system. Now the week ahead continues after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Today we are shining the spotlight on a truly inspiring story of community spirit, innovation and empowerment as we explore the remarkable transformation of an abandoned school in Soweto in a state-of-the-art digital and education hub, Boundless Soweto campus, where young people from disadvantaged backgrounds can access world-class education and training in the latest technologies. Now, joining me in studio are two incredible guests, Sipho Larsen, the Managing Director of Boundless Soweto Campus, and Tato Matla, a talented young graduate who will be receiving
her certification on the 14th of March 2025 as we delve into the impact of this project, the challenges they've overcome, and the incredible opportunities that lie ahead for these young tech leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for coming through. We appreciate your presence here in studio. Sipho, let's start with you. Congratulations on the launch of Boundless Soweto campus.
Certainly.
Can you just tell us what inspired this project and how it came to fruition?
Mahe, we have been in the skills development space for more than 10 years. And what we've learned is that corporates entrust us with funding to help develop our young people. And something that we found is that many times these stipends that they receive, half or if not more than that, actually goes just to transportation. And what we as a board decided, let's take the opportunities to these young people. And therefore we engaged with the relevant departments. And this abandoned school of about 15 years ago, we got there, it was in a bad state. And we've renovated that, and the whole idea was to take the opportunities to these young people, take these learnerships. Because, I mean, it takes them one taxi. Sometimes they just need to walk to the campus.
Yeah.
And that was really the idea behind it, to bring the opportunities to these young people.
Tato, why not? Congratulations to you as well on your upcoming graduation. Can you share with us your personal story and how you became involved in with the Boundless Soweto campus?
Thank you for the opportunity. So I started with a learnership at Boundless, and then I did the system support in Q-level 5. We did the theories, the practicals, and then I was placed under the Boundless company. I was based there. We did practicals, everything went well, and then now I'm an employee.
You're an employee. And how's it going so far?
Everything is fine.
Yeah.
It's challenging, and also it's a very good space where I can learn and upgrade my knowledge.
I'm interested in those challenges. Talk to us about those and how you're trying to overcome them.
Well, the challenges that I had is that, my first year I did it at Eduvos and I was doing business management.
Yeah.
So now, when I started the learnership, I did system support, which is, I had no idea on how to install systems you know. So now I have the idea on how to install computers, the softwares, and it's really a nice challenge whereby now I know where to start and end, you know. Yeah, I think it's a really good challenge, yeah.
Interesting story there. Now, Sipho, how does this campus fit into the broader vision of Boundless, and what sets it apart from other education and training initiatives?
Definitely. I think, Mahe, as I indicated, is that our strategy is very clear. We want to take the opportunities to these young people. As these programs develop, you know, we found that, and this is what a lot of people miss, Mahe, is that our young people come from sometimes very dire circumstances at home.
True.
Sometimes they are the breadwinners in their households. And like I said, we're very clear. We want to develop our young people, and we want to give them skills that they can practically use in their lives. As you could hear what Tatu was saying, that she's able to install a software right now. She's able to network a computer, but that actually will lead to jobs. A big part of what we do, Mahe, is that our young people, they're for 5 months on campus, and then thereafter they actually get placed with companies in industry to get that workplace experience. And our target and what we strive for is absorption. We want our young people to actually get permanent jobs at the end, like Tatu has spoken. And we live by what we expect other partners to do, host partners. We actually also absorb. And we've been very successful in that our young people come through the campus and actually go on to obtain jobs and careers in the ICT sector, yes.
Let's talk about the facilities and resources available at campus and how they will support the education and training students going
100%.
forward.
As I indicated, is that a 12-month learnership, we actually do a CETA, MICT CETA accredited program.
Yeah.
As Sato indicated, she did the system support NQF level 5 qualification.
Yeah.
And what we've done is that we've actually taken that further, because sometimes we feel that's just not enough. We've actually exposed our candidates to Cisco programs. So they are doing cybersecurity, they are doing networking, they are doing those particular. And the facility, it comprises of actual theory classrooms as well as labs where they actually coding, they're coding in Java, Python. And that's the kind of exposure that we're giving them in Soweto. And really that's the idea, that they do not need to travel, take 2-3 taxis to access those kind of opportunities, Mache.
And Tato, let's talk about those experiences at the campus. How do you think the skills and knowledge you have gained will impact your future career prospects?
Well, I think it will brighten my future in terms of now I can be able to help other candidates to like install with whether it's softwares, hardwares, it doesn't matter. But what I've noticed is that I am able now to help others with, as well as sharing my knowledge with them. And then, yeah, I think that would be it, yeah.
What about that student who's about to give up on those difficult tasks that SIPO would actually give you at the campus? Because there comes that time as a student, you feel like this is not working for me. What would you say to them?
I would say giving up is not an option. It's not an option because we get a platform whereby we give learners an opportunity to upper their knowledge and skills, whereby now you don't have to pay for school fees. You don't have to pay for school fees. We offer that for free and also give you the allowance to come to campus. And it also would change the mindset that you have in terms of, let's say, at home, you're only the breadwinner, but now you'll be able to change that by getting that little stipend that you get. So you'll be able to change that at home.
Interesting. SIPO, let's talk about programs and courses that will be offered at the campus, and how are they designed to meet the needs of young people in Soweto and surrounding areas?
Definitely. In fact, Mache, I will tell you, since December, just in the period December to January, we've received over 500 learners just coming to the gate wanting to submit their CV for an opportunity. We know there's a big need. And we continue going out there to ensure that we align with what the industry wants. What is it that the job market is looking for? And with the kind of programs as you're asking, in terms of, as I said, we do the MICT programs, your system support, technical support. Those are the kind of programs that we do there. But we augment that with Cisco-related programs. Like I said, it's because we know this is what the industry is looking for. Therefore, our candidates that come through our campus, Mache, it's not only locally accredited, they globally, recognized through the Cisco programs that they're doing. Like, for example, even Stato, she did cybersecurity. She did the cybersecurity analyst program, and that's an internationally recognized, program. Even further, what we're trying to do at the campus is that we're busy building an industrial kitchen over there, where all our young people at least get one meal a day. Because again, we recognize we are in Soweto, and we also recognize that some of these candidates come from very dire circumstances. And we as Boundless and the partners that we work with, we're wanting to go that extra mile to ensure that we don't only meet them from a stipend point of view, but even a meal. And also, for example, some of the young people have tablets on campus where they're actually able to do research. We've got video labs where they can go in and actually watch videos on how to install a motherboard into a PC. So there's actual practical rooms where they're working on PCs. They're in labs where they're working on Python, Java. So really we want to give them that holistic, opportunity kind of thing.
Interesting stuff there indeed. We appreciate your time. That's all that we had. I can see we can keep on talking, but I think this is one story that a lot of young people will actually be looking into going forward. We appreciate your time indeed. Thanks so much for coming through. That was SIPO Klassen, the Managing Director of Boundless Soweto Campus, and Tato Mata, a talented young graduate who will be receiving her certification on the 14th of March 2025. Hour of the week ahead has ended. Thank you for being with us. We'll continue at the top of the hour. You will stay with us. You're watching SABC News Live from Johannesburg. Your headlines this hour. Small Business Development Minister Stella Ndabeni will today give an update on the Spaza shop registration process. A cleanup operation is underway in La Reunion after Cyclone Garanzi struck the French overseas territory. Local authorities said 4 people had died after the cyclone made landfall on Friday. At least 37 people were killed and 30 injured in a bus crash in Bolivia. Authorities are awaiting the results of alcohol tests taken by the drivers. Welcome to the second hour of the week ahead here on the SABC News channel. We are live with you from our Johannesburg studios. You are still welcome to participate in our conversations. Give us a call on our studio number at 011-714-0680 or 0681 or 0682. It's an honor to have you with us at this hour. Now, a Lusikisiki-based police officer in the Eastern Cape that was allegedly shot and wounded by a colleague while on duty in 2023 is still demanding justice from the police ministry. 52-year-old Sergeant Fundisile Jwatu was hit several times in the upper leg and now relies on crutches to move around. Jwatu alleges that they were part of a group of 4 policemen that were assigned to arrest a suspect at Gauteng village outside Lusikisiki when the incident happened.
And it is a normal day of duty for the 4 policemen assigned to effect an arrest. But while executing the assignment, one of the team allegedly inexplicably started shooting at his colleague. I asked him, "Why are you shooting at me?" He ignored my question. He continued shooting at me 4 times. I lifted up my hands, asking for forgiveness, but this guy would just shoot at me randomly. He just looked at me and then started shooting again, and after that I collapsed in a pool of blood. Jwatu alleges that his attacker folded his R5 rifle and threw it inside the suspect's homestead. After shooting at me, he then folded his R5 rifle, got into a police vehicle, he opened the window and threw the R5 rifle inside the suspect's homestead that was with us in the police van when I was shot. My colleague then instructed other police officers that they must come inside quickly, and then he drove off. The Jwatu family remains traumatized by the whole incident. They also say his employer never visited him while in hospital or at home. We are not happy at all as a family. We are traumatized. Even my kids are traumatized because they know the person who shot their father, and they always say, "So and so shot our father. We are not safe." And even the police come here and tell us that you guys are not safe. I never thought that one day I'll be the one removing pieces of flesh of my husband from the police uniform. It is hard. Due to trauma and psychological impact of what I have been going through, I have visited psychologists many times. The Eastern Cape government has failed me, top police officers have failed me. I am now asking anyone that can help me to solve this case, because it has been going on for some time now without any direction. I really need help. IPID spokesperson Baladi Shupeng says in a statement that the investigation is at an advanced stage. Jwatu is calling on top officials in the province to attend to the matter as he continues living in fear for the safety of his family. Guruleko Nyembisi, SABC News, Lusikisiki.
Now, as the deadline looms, Sassa and Postbank are urging beneficiaries to take advantage of the extended period to migrate to the new Postbank black cards. Queues have been forming outside the Shoprite store in Polokwane, where beneficiaries are eager to obtain their new cards before the March 20th deadline. Rendani Radipaswa has more.
Some Sassa beneficiaries in Polokwane, Limpopo have expressed mixed reactions regarding the migration of gold Sassa cards to new Post Bank black cards. They have been going to stores in an effort to obtain the new cards ahead of the looming deadline. Sassa and Post Bank have warned that beneficiaries who fail to obtain new cards before March 20th deadline will not be able to access their Sassa grant payments using their gold cards. Some of the beneficiaries say the process is slow.
I was here last week. I was here. Then I came back. There was no progress. They were not helping us. I was expecting Uri this time I will be at home, but the lines are too long, and we are taking too long time in the lines. So when I found out, I was trying to find out where can I go except ShopRite, Pick and Pay, and Oxa. They said they are not doing this.
The queue is long and inconveniencing to us. I woke up as early as 5 to come here, and still I'm in the queue, and they have not yet started to assist us. I do not even understand why they want us to change the cards. They should have just let us continue with the old ones, and now we are stressed. I have to queue here for hours, even though I'm tired. I've been here since morning. They have not even started to work. If I don't get the new card, then my grandchildren will not receive their money. I am happy that we are getting new cards. I believe that they must be changed all the time. It means that if we continue to use the old ones, I will encounter some difficulties. So I do not have a problem to be here.
Post Bank says beneficiaries will be able to perform all enabled transactions with their Sassa Gold cards during the upcoming March payment run. However, the cards will be disabled from 5 o'clock in the afternoon on the 20th of March.
Starting from the 20th of March, all Sassa Gold cards will be switched off and they will be stopped from working. The cards will not work to withdraw cash or even check balances either at the ATMs or the retailers. As a result, we ask all beneficiaries to go to the card replacement sites and replace their Sassa Gold cards between now and the 20th of March.
Post Bank and Sassa assure that beneficiaries that may have missed the 20 March 2025 deadline to switch to black cards will continue to be paid their Sassa grants. They will be enabled to access their funds without cards at the Post Bank only. Rendani Ralipasa, SABC News, Polokwane.
Now, the Parliamentary Budget Office says there are alternative revenue streams that Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana can tap into if the proposed VAT increase is shut down. The Executive Director of the Parliamentary Budget Office, Dr. Dimizani Yanki, says Parliament must also push Godongwana to reveal what other revenue generation streams were considered before the VAT hike was put on the table.
As the Finance Minister prepares to deliver his budget on March the 12th, the Parliamentary Budget Office is preparing to table an advisory paper to Parliament next week on how to consider the budget. The PBO says the implications of the postponement of the budget are vague for now, but says there is still time to consider the budget within the law.
It says by the 1st of April, the budget should be tabled. So in a way, you can still say we're still in a very safe space in particular, but also there's a Money-Based Act which guides Parliament in how to process that budget when it's tabled, and the processes can only be triggered as soon as the budget is tabled. Now we're in a state where it has not been tabled yet, and we're still waiting. In my view, there's still a bit of a room, at least until the 12th of March, or specifically until the 1st of April.
Janches says they will finalize an advisory paper on the budget next week.
What's important in our view and analysis is to say maybe then Parliament should request government to provide those options that we're looking to in that way, we're able to see what has been considered. In our view, and our analysis that we're currently busy with, which I'm not going to share a lot until we produce next week, is that we do feel there's a lot of evidence that there are other sources of revenue that we can still tap, and also breaking down to immediate need and medium to long term sources of revenue that could be considered in that regard.
The paper will also advise on trade tensions between South Africa and the United States.
South Africa trades a lot with Asia, Africa and EU, and fourthly, that's when the Americas come in. We've got a very tiny trade with 8% of total trade that we have, but I think we did say that this trade relation, particularly when you get the tariffs that were imposed on the minerals by earlier in the month, we did say that there's an opportunity for South Africa to explore other measures while they start to resolve the trade tensions with the US as an important trading partner.
There is also a call to align the budget to the government's priorities.
We need to shift away from separating budget from what it's supposed to do. And that for me has been a bigger problem that we have over the years in this country, where there's a huge divergence between what the policy priorities want us to realize and one side the budget framework itself, whereby you find that budget framework at times contradicts what the priorities are. And I think that for me, Parliament has an important role to try to enforce that.
The PBO will publish its advisory budget paper next week. Chiloane Philip, SABC News, Parliament.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Parliament's Portfolio Committee Chair on Mineral and Petroleum Resources, Mikateko Mtlhaule, says they will be closely monitoring the rollout of the department's online system for issuing mining licenses. The new system that will be going online this year will replace the South African Mineral Resources Administration system. It is aimed at addressing the backlog of issuing mining licenses to small-scale and artisanal miners, as well as implement and support a mineral rights system to address some of the hurdles constraining exploration, mine development and growth of the local mining industry. Government has received criticism for not implementing policies that will enable artisanal and small-scale mining. Communities in mining areas have been calling on government's assistance in attaining mining licenses. SABC News politics reporter Natasha Piri caught up with Mtlhaule and filed this report.
Mining license applicants, including artisanal and small-scale miners, will breathe a sigh of relief when the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources unveils a new system that will reduce the backlog of mining applicants and speed up processing. The system will replace the current SAMRAD system, which is described as outdated and inefficient. It will also allow the department to reject applications without long administrative processes. A process that Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Mineral and Petroleum Resources will be watching with a hawk's eye.
And that's why they're introducing a new system which will go live this year, addressing the backlog of licensing mining companies. So there's a lot of problems in licensing which the new system is trying to address. That an already applied permit is already applied, you can't issue it to somebody else. But also the mischief by those that are in the department is going to stop, because the system is automated. You can't remove me if I've applied, and it tells you who was the first applicant and applying for what. So if somebody wants to be mischievous and remove your application and bring somebody's application, it tells you who was that, what time did they log, and what time did they take that decision. So yes, there are problems, but they are going to be resolved very soon.
Addressing challenges of illegal mining, Mtlhaule says a collaborative effort is needed to combat the issue, which is a thorn in the flesh for government.
It's not going to be abrupt, and it needs many players to deal with it. One is that the funds that I'm talking about to rehabilitate derelict and onerous mines must be deployed. Two, police must go after the kingpins. You know, I was laughing when they said there's one kingpin who was arrested and Tiger, he skipped the country. There's no kingpin who can go underground. Kingpins are somewhere in Dubai, somewhere enjoying the money. There's no kingpin who can just go underground and risk their lives, you know. So the real kingpins, police must follow the money, and then we will be able to stop that. But also communities that are behaving as if they care about people, and they often mislead us in defining who is illegal, who is not. They are actually involved. The police minister was saying to me, you know, it's very sad that these guys who are interviewed every day in Stilfontein, some of them, when we follow them, we realize that no, man, their lifestyle is actually different to others, and it can only tell you that they do have the responsibility to defend these, because the proceeds are going to them. Some of them were selling food to these people, so you need to block the whole chain, because food is expensive. Like a chocolate bar in underground illegal mining can cost you 500 rand. Something that costs you in a supermarket 20 rand. You can 3 slices of bread can cost you 200 rand. So it's a chain that we need to stop.
Billions of rands are lost to illegal mining each year.
But it is estimated that around 40 billion, between 40 to 60 billion rands is what the economy is losing around illegal mining.
Per year?
Per year. Per annum. That's what should be going to SARS. To the taxpayer, it's not going. It's going to kingpins who are situated somewhere around the world. So there is a lot of money that should be going to the state that is not going. It's a huge market. It's a huge market. That is why even those that are digging, when you go back to the communities and they tell you this is a Zamazam, never mind how dirty they are, they've got cash, a lot of cash. I mean, just in Stilfontein, 52 million was seized. 52 million rands in cash was seized by the police.
The lawmaker says government must allocate more funds to deal with the rehabilitation of onerous mines to curb illegal mining. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Johannesburg.
A crash involving 2 buses in Bolivia left at least 37 people dead and 30 injured. The accident happened yesterday when one of the vehicles swerved into the oncoming lane. One of the drivers is receiving intensive care while the other is in a stable condition. Police personnel are working to identify the people who were killed and those who were injured and hospitalized. Authorities are awaiting the results of alcohol tests taken by the drivers. Now, a cleanup operation is underway in La Réunion after Cyclone Garance struck the French overseas territory. Local authorities said 4 people had died after the cyclone made landfall on Friday, bringing with it wind speeds of up to 154 km per hour.
In the island's capital, Saint-Denis, residents described water flooding into their homes and cars being carried away.
It was impressive. We didn't expect to see this torrent of water, and suddenly you see a car floating by. We thought it was the end of the world.
Garance made landfall in the north of La Réunion, which is located off Madagascar, blowing away roofs and cutting power. The prefecture said 953 people were being sheltered in centres, 160,000 households were without electricity, and nearly 10% had no access to drinking water. Rescuers from the nearby island of Mayotte, which itself was devastated by Cyclone Chido in December, were called in to help clear roads. That's according to the island's head of fire and rescue services, who said reinforcements were also expected from mainland France.
Small Business Development Minister Stella Ndabeni is about to give an update on the Spaza shop registration process. She's joined at the media briefing in Pretoria by economic cluster MECs across various provinces. Let's listen in for more details.
The aim of the registration drive was twofold, as you will recall. Firstly, to ensure compliance with food safety standards and to rebuild a more competitive and compliant businesses in our country. After the announcement by the President, through the net joints that was established, 7 work streams were formulated, and ourselves as DSPD leading the economic work stream, which focused more on interventions to build capacity in our township and rural Spaza shops and all the other food handling outlets. We've done this together with our colleagues, as we have heard, that I'm not here as the department only. We've supported the registration through the net joints, as I indicated, and we will have the net joints briefing the nation in the coming 2 weeks' time on the progress that have been made, the number that has been registered, and therefore what then happens next. Ours is to focus on the business support for those that have adhered to the call. Key from our side was to form a NEV center, which was formed by the MECs responsible for economic development throughout our provinces and the MMCs responsible for economic development at district level. And we did this because we wanted to closely monitor the registration process across the country. We visited 135 registration centers during this process in order to get first-hand experience of the challenges. Provincial teams were led by the department. As we said, it was a multidisciplinary process, but in the specific ones, we led and support was received overwhelmingly from all provinces and the municipalities. We do know that the process had challenges, with many municipalities not having electronic business registration systems. We found that only 60 out of the municipalities in the country have a digital business registration system. Now we want to say to all those that have registered or adhered the call to go and register their businesses, that all those that have adhered and those that are within their constitutional right to do business but still awaiting the processes in terms of the outcomes as they are led by the municipalities will not be penalized. It is important that I emphasize this point because some businesses did adhere to the President's call and went to register, but because of what I've explained, that other municipalities are still undertaking manual processes and also the confirmation of certain documentation, which means it is not the fault of the business owners. It is government's responsibility to smoothen the process. This is why we're saying those businesses will not be penalized. We understand the difficulties and costs that are associated with becoming compliant, and this is why we've committed that over the next 6 months, we'll be supporting those Spaza shops who applied but are not yet compliant with non-financial support to enable their successful registration by ensuring that they are compliant. This is the developmental approach to compliance that we have adopted, offering assistance to those seeking to comply through training programs provided by the different stakeholders. We already have a Spaza shop support program that we are running, including with the wholesale and retail SETA and other partners, where we train Spaza shops on inventory management and assist with essential equipment such as the point of sale systems as well as financial support for stock. This is our proof of concept, which we will improve and scale going forward. We also have a range of other interventions and offerings to support township and rural enterprises. And amongst those, we're looking at providing business infrastructure, as well as wholesale and direct lending for those that are needing finances, credit guarantees, and equipment when necessary. We offer to banks credit guarantee so that they can be able to lend to township and rural enterprises, as they always claim that township and rural businesses, more so small businesses, pose a high risk to their business. This is why we are providing credit guarantee so that our businesses can be able to access finance from the banks. We will now take the initiative that we are going to scale up. We have already announced the 500 million Spaza Shop Support Fund that is between the Department of Small Business Development and DTIC, with 150 million rands that is contributed by the Department of Small Business Development and 350 million rands provided by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And we are soon to launch that in the next coming 2 weeks, and a date will be communicated because we're still aligning diaries of all those that are involved. As I said, we are all working as a collective. Other businesses will still benefit from existing departmental funds, both by NEF, through our portfolio, the economic development initiatives in the provinces and the municipalities, including financial support through the DFIs. Now, the 500 million Spaza Shop Support Fund aims to achieve economies of scale by linking Spaza shops and food handling outlets to buying in groups for bulk purchasing. Many business people have complained that they're not able to get discounts, and we have observed that it is because they buy as individuals. Now we're trying to encourage them to work together so that they can be able to negotiate in bulk, and this is why we are utilizing this fund to say those that would have supported indeed will then participate in the bulk buying support. We're also looking at building business capacity, as I've spoken about the training that we provide, because we realized in the process of registration that some owners don't even know what is it that they're expected to have in the building that they own, in the equipment that they have, just like we still see others in containers, because they're not aware, but they're grabbing a business opportunity. And we do believe that providing training and education on that aspect will really assist by building capacity for them to understand how to be compliant and remain in business. Of course, we're also looking at enhancing market competitiveness to help the Spaza shops and food handling outlets to compete with some retailers that are in their areas. We have agreed with Minister Dow and the MECs here that we have supported a lot of locally produced products that are loved by many people, which is why in the offerings, in the packages that we'll be giving, some of those products will then be integrated and offered. We are going to roll out nationally to impact Spaza shops and food handling outlets across major townships and villages. We're planning to roll out a multidisciplinary outreach program. This means the entire government and the private sector will come together to undertake outreach throughout the country. And by this outreach, we want to bring government services closer to the people by ensuring that we disseminate information on all compliance that is related to Spaza shops and other food handling outlets. We've received lots of messages, and including the request for interviews when this process started, when the incident started, people asking us, when are you closing? What are you saying about the Spaza shop? Because people clearly do not understand who does what. This is why we believe that if we work collectively, we're able to unpack and therefore give information to those to say if you're going to be embarking on a Spaza shop business, you've got to ensure that you're compliant with all the different pieces of legislations that are administered by different departments. For example, the outbreak that was caused, as Minister of Health had indicated, that it arose out of a pesticide, and that is according to their results and the research that they've conducted. Now, what do we do as the departments responsible for business development? It means that it is a responsible department of health that then must come to the party, which is why we see the need to enhance the efforts that we had already started by ensuring that we work together, educate our masses, and I want to urge those entrepreneurs that are involved in business to make sure that they also familiarize themselves with the legislation and compliance of the areas that they are operating in. We continue to do this work with provinces and local municipalities, and as I indicated, we'll be crisscrossing the country, raising awareness and providing the trainings. We have agreed that there's a need to reinforce capability or human capital at local level, because one of the challenges that we find ourselves here is because through certain legislations we have passed them to the local sphere without providing the necessary support. That is why from our side we said we're going to contract 63 people that will act as business regulation officers and DDM champions to work with the district municipalities in assisting them with the work that we're talking about. And remember, we remain a DDM-focused government. Work doesn't happen at national level. Work happens at the local level, that is why we emphasize the need for participation by the LED officers or leaders in the municipalities. Therefore, this is an approach that goes across all the spheres. The regulatory environment needs to be streamlined, colleagues. I did talk about that to say we've discovered that only 60 have digitized systems. Therefore, what we have done as the department is to make sure that we don't only look at the red tape reduction program that we are offering to deal with the unnecessary criteria that is being set up by other municipalities, but we provide practical solutions. And this is why we've established provincial working groups with all the provinces. And of course, at the center of that is to ensure that we assist municipalities with e-registration systems. We are living in the digital world, but also for efficiency, it makes sense to invest in what people use and what people know and assist, of course, where there are people who are still digital illiterates. We remain committed as government to streamline business licensing, as I indicated, to reduce regulatory burdens, foster an environment conducive to entrepreneurship, innovation, and job creation. Our amended National Business Licensing Bill, once approved and implemented, will provide clarity, consistency, and transparency in business licensing, enabling businesses to thrive and contribute to the country's economic growth and development. Now, colleagues, members of the media, you will recall that as you've been coming to us asking about licensing, we've told you that the Businesses Act entrusts municipalities with the responsibility of registering businesses. This is why now we are saying we're 10 years in existence as the department. We are beginning to insert ourselves as the authority that is responsible for the development of small businesses. Hence, we will be repealing the Businesses Act of 1991, introducing the Business Licensing Bill that I spoke about. We've also developed a system which we call the DSBG Connect platform, which will serve to streamline processes for registration. It will serve as a cutting-edge platform designed to support township and rural businesses, among others, by offering a comprehensive database and verification of businesses and strategic networking opportunities. Our intention is to empower businesses by facilitating access to funding, credit lines, business support and procurement opportunities across government and the private sector. Municipalities and other system users will be onboarded and trained on the platform before we launch it. We extend our gratitude to all business owners who responded to the call and adhered to the laws of our land. As departments responsible for economic development, we remain dedicated to supporting small businesses in their growth and ensuring that they play a significant role in the nation's economy. Let our economy go back to its rightful owners, but also let's appreciate that the rights that we enjoy come with the responsibilities that are enshrined in our Constitution and the regulatory environment that we set for ourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for that comprehensive report. Colleagues, I'm Sipe Matanda, the Director for Communications Management at the Department of Small Business Development. We're going to take questions here first and another round online with my colleagues that are going to be assisting me with that. And we are opening now the session for questions, colleagues. Going to be number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, is that all, colleagues? 3 questions for now.
Morning. The first question would be in regards to, you spoke about competition between starter shop and retailers. So is there an effort to have more
Yeah, continue, yes.
So my question is, has the department established a relationship between retailers to ensure that they work with them? Because as we were covering the story, many were worried about retailers as well, but it seems like we're putting more attention on Spaza shop. That's the first question. The second question is based on the funding that you just mentioned. I just want to know is there a minimum amount that you will give each Spaza shop? And is registering a crucial requirement to be able to get this funding? Thank you.
Okay, Mangoba.
Minister, just two questions. The first one is there's been concerns, of course, over the deadline, with some calling for an extension to the registration deadline. What is your stance as government on this? Is there going to be another extension that will be afforded for those? You mentioned that there were teething problems, some municipalities, of course, you said they won't be penalized, but is there a possible extension for those who are not able to register? And then secondly, is there an indication of how many people have registered so far countrywide?
Number 3.
Good afternoon. Shannon Merrick, Cashless Broadcasting Africa. I think one of the important things is 500 million sounds a lot of money to a lot of people. But when you divide it by 9, it gives you for province 5.1 million. When you divide it like Joburg, 7 million. It's just going to be economics. When you divide it by another 10, it then gives you 5 million for metro. When you divide it into a region, it then gives you 100,000 per region. When you divide it by 4,500 votes in the country, it gives you less than 100,000. So my question is, besides the 500 million, it looks like this project needs 5 billion, to be honest. But besides the 500 billion, what other support are there? One knows that Gauteng Enterprise, Propeller, Limpopo, all these departments, MECs are there as well in the different provinces. They have these enterprises that help people with financial and non-financial support. Will they assist business with non-financial support, start your own business, improve your own business? Because besides just giving someone money, there is a big need for people to understand how to start your business, how to improve your business. Last but not least, to the minister, it's good to say South African businesses, small businesses must comply, they must have staffs and all those things. But then you have, like in city of Joburg, where a 200 million tender goes to a Zimbabwean company or Nigerian company to fix a road in city of Joburg. So how should we feel as black-owned businesses when that happens? Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Before we go to Zola, colleagues, we also have our MSs from our provinces, Free State, Eastern Cape, and Northwest. You are free to ask questions from them also. Zola?
Thank you very much. Minister, I heard you speak about the 500 million there. And really what I would like to understand is that how is it going to, firstly, are Spaza shop owners aware of this money? And I'm asking this because, you know, when you're on the ground, they do mention the figure, but how do they access it? And also, what's going to be the criteria that's going to be followed for one to apply? What is going to be considered? You know, what, because we've got so many Spaza shops in the Gauteng province alone, particularly in townships and informal settlements. And as my colleague has said, it sounds like a big figure. But when you look at, you know, the number of Spaza shops, you know, in Gauteng alone, I'm not looking at other provinces like your Eastern Cape. There's just so many. So if you could just, you know, explain what criteria will be followed in terms of allocating these funds.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Minister, I think the interest more is on the 500 million from our colleagues. Any questions for the MECs? Okay, Minister? Yeah. Thank you so much, colleagues, for the questions that have been asked. As indicated, we'll have the MECs also coming to respond to some of the things. The competition between spaza shops and retailers and yes, there is lots of competition, which is why I said earlier on when I was addressing that we are using this bulk amount to encourage bulk buying so that you reduce the elements on pricing. Of course, we understand the economies of scale, because others will be buying with 100 billion rands, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. But to say, at least for those that we'll be working with, they should consider giving some discounts to the spaza shops that will be participating. Remember, although the 500 million may be a once-off to those businesses, but they will continue being in business, which means they're going to continue buying from the same retailers and the wholesalers that are there. So that's a rotating money within our community, and then they will do as business people to negotiate more, better than what we have done. Is there a relationship between retailers and the department? Earlier on, I think it was last year when this started, we reported that as the department we had established a township economy forum that is made by the wholesalers, the manufacturers, and other people that are involved. And that was long before the foodborne illness incident, because we had said there's a need for us, if we are going to be looking at rebuilding the township and rural economy, let's work with all ecosystem players so that we're able to say, where are you not assisting our people? And how do we then intervene in ensuring that our people can be able to stay in business, and also ensure that there's fair trade practices that are practiced by all those, which is why compliance is one of those. And this we have explained several times. It doesn't matter if you're non-South African or South African. Compliance is compliance. If you are given access to do business, you've got to make sure that you're compliant with all the laws of our country. And it's the same message that we're giving, which is why we're not only engaging the retailers and big business, we're engaging the traditional leaders, because some of the spaza shops are found in the locals. We're working with township associations to make sure that they are part and they provide solutions, because they have lived experiences outside us that are not running spaza shops. The minimum amount for a spaza shop, for a startup, we have said we're starting at 10,000 rands. Again, this is informed by the information that we're getting from the ecosystem. To say you can start, when you're a startup, you can start with 10,000 rands, and then you're testing your market to see what's going to be the appetite, and then you can grow from that. Then it is 40,000 rands for the stock. We have a package of 100,000 rands, which is 50,000 rands for infrastructure related, whether you're talking about the POS or the refrigerators that they must have, or assisting with the building when we're not building for them, but the ventilation and all the basic things that they must have. So for those that would have been found to be not compliant within the building side, we will assist with those. So whatever that is picked up by inspectors, remember it is registration and inspections are ongoing. So they provide feedback to us to say you have 25 South African owned spaza shops that are not compliant on 1, 2, 3. And colleagues, it doesn't mean that spaza shops cannot afford stock. When we're talking about the money that we have put in place is to intervene to assist those that are deserving and in need of that. Because others, they decide to grab an opportunity, but they may have missed all the other compliance requirements, which is why we're talking about an outreach program that raises awareness and trains small businesses that are involved in the matter that we're talking about on everything that they must know, and we assist when necessary. So was registration a requirement for funding? Yes. That's why we said those that would have registered and found not to be compliant and also in need, we will support them. It was a specific intervention. We are running programs, as the other colleague did mention, that municipalities, provinces have funds to support small businesses and spaza shops. That continues, but this is a fund specifically to intervene because we've taken a decision that we don't want any South African-owned person who has decided to take a cautious decision of embarking on spaza shop industry to be excluded because they can't afford compliance. That is why we're stepping in. We're stepping in for those that cannot afford and they need whatever we need. Mangoma, extension possible? I did indicate earlier we're speaking only on business here. The net joins after receiving all the report, we'll look at whatever that needs to be looked at and we'll make a determination and they will advise the country on what next. That also talks to the data of the registered Spaza shops. The net joints will do that. The registration was only on Friday, and then that information needs to be consolidated, because I know the next thing you'll be saying, Minister, you said 25,000 are registered, but this is the data that we are getting. It is important that we make sure that we have scrutinized all the information that we are receiving from our registration centers. I fully agree 500 million rands is not a lot, considering that the Spaza shop industry is a big industry on its own. But the fact that it is big, it tells you that people have started trading. That is why I said it's just an intervention. Other funds that we have, for example, in the department, we have the Township and Rural Enterprise Program, which also assists Spaza shop with some funding. So it's not like we're closing out other interventions. The work continues. That's why I said earlier, this one for those that have registered, but the support continues with the other DFIs and the institutions that are responsible. Provinces definitely, as I said, they are supporting, and the MECs that are here will talk to the support that they provide. In relation to the tender awarded to a non-South African, I'm not sure what is the question, whether the question is why are we awarding businesses to non-South Africans, or is the illegality aspect of it. Because if it is legal, there's nothing stopping us. Remember, we said the Immigration Act does provide business visa to non-South Africans. Therefore, if they were compliant and they're given a business visa, it means they have a right to trade in our country.
A live briefing there by Small Business Development Minister Stella Ndabeni, alongside economic cluster MECs across various provinces on the Spaza shop registration process following the deadline on Friday. And she says they visited 135 registration centers across the country throughout the multidisciplinary process, and they found challenges there. Some municipalities did not have electronic business registration systems. Only 60 centers had electronic systems in place. It talks to why some business owners, you've seen them, were so frustrated by the registration process. But she says these centers resorted to manual registration, but a promise there that businesses will not be penalized for any delays on full registration. As a result of this, in the next coming 2 weeks, the department will launch the 500 million Spaza Shop Support Fund. But here is another problem. Some business owners have no idea what they need to have in order to operate their food handling establishments. An outreach program will be launched to assist them. Now to this, Abantu, Threads That Bind Us, is a new body of work by multi-award-winning jewelry designer Khanya Mteto. The exhibition celebrates South Africa's diverse indigenous cultures through an exploration of identity, and tribute to the resilience of African memory. This show, which draws inspiration from both South African culture's history and present, uses modern design and artistic interpretations of archive artifacts to bridge the gap between the two. But to tell us more, Khanya Mteto now joins us in studio. Khanya, thanks so much for coming through. Indeed, we appreciate your time. Let's start here. Just tell us through your body of work and the inspiration behind it. What came about it?
Okay, so my work is inspired by Indigenous knowledge, which this current work is based on the Indigenous groups in South Africa. So I'm basically looking at it from a decolonial lens, looking at how we as Indigenous people of South Africa, how we dress, how we adorn ourselves. And I am basically articulating that in different design disciplines to show, the beauty of our people.
I'm actually looking at it on the screen there. It's quite beautiful, stunning. But your work focuses on indigenous cultures, right? What sets your work apart from artists who have perhaps gone the same route?
I think what sets my work apart is that it's also research-based. So it's very much about really paying homage to who we are, but also it has an academic element to it where, like I said, it's a very decolonial lens, because I think in academia we talk so much about decolonization, but what does that look like to someone who's outside of academia? So to me, that looks like works that do speak to us, like how we dress and the beadwork that we have in our culture, which is often seen as craft. So I'm turning it into something, I'm basically looking at that and saying there's value in the skills that we find within Abomama who are in the markets, in the rural areas and so forth.
And how do you think heritage helps shape the people that we are today?
I think that heritage helps shape the people in a way that it grounds us, first of all. It's a guiding, like our guiding principles are based on our cultural heritage. People who, without a cultural heritage, lose sight of who they are. And if you lose sight of who you are, you lose sight of how to move around in the world. So I think it's very important.
Absolutely, yeah. And what is the role and significance of beadwork within our cultures? Do you think it has been embraced within commercial spaces?
I think it has, but very much from a Western gaze, where it's always seen as something that is a souvenir, something that is exotic in a way, and not really seen as something that is an art. As design, because it is like it's grounded in the same principles that designers use, where you find a pattern, where you use a pattern to actually make this beadwork, and on top of that also it's more than just like an adornment. It has spiritual connotations to it. It has historical stories that come with it of how we came about to actually use beads in our country. So it's a lot. It's a loaded it's a loaded artifact.
And you've said that through this exhibition you seek to provide a space where those disconnected from their lineage can rediscover and celebrate it. How do you intend to do this?
I intend to do that through the stories that people will experience when they move in the space, because it's 2 floors, and the one floor is where I take people through the history of the different kings that were within the different ethnic groups. So if you unfamiliar with the histories, you get a glimpse of that, and then from there also you are able to then see how that interprets into a contemporary space, so how it has evolved, how as designers we use that as an evolution of what culture is, because it's not static.
Yeah. What goes behind your work? I'm quite interested because I look at those visuals there. As a journalist, we tend to visualize a story before we tell that story. Talk to us about what goes behind what we see on air right now.
Okay, so one of the pieces that people will be seeing is a piece that is almost a replica of one of the Wits Arts Museum pieces. And so for this exhibition, I was using some of Wits Arts Museum archival pieces to draw inspiration to actually create works that are very contemporary, and basically showing that link between the past and the present, and how as designers we can use that, as a way of designing and coming up with.
And what inspired you to really do this, to just embark on this journey?
I think first and foremost, I've been on this journey just because of doing my PhD, where I undertook Indigenous knowledge research methods. And then while doing that, I won an award with the Susan Beach Award, which is an international award.
Congratulations,
and that, thank you. Yeah. And that funded what you're going to see in the space. So for me to be able to make the works, and that's how I came about the project.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Beautiful work. Keep doing the great work. We appreciate it. That was Kanya Mteta talking to us about the upcoming exhibition, Abantu Threads That Bind Us, that is set to take place at the Faculty of Art Design and Architecture Gallery at the University of Johannesburg. Well, that's it for today here at The Week Ahead. We appreciate you staying with us. As today, we'll continue with the news at the top of the hour from myself, Margaret Amatlabe, as well as the Week Ahead team. Thank you for watching. To take care.